We are the fourth. We are the fourth.
The Rays struggle on their recent road trip, dropping 4 of the 6 games. And now, Kevin Cash's club has come to a crossroads.
Kind of a little bit of a gut check for all of us, I think. I mean, myself included. We need to, if 24 hours off helps do that, evaluate that, then so be it. But we need to kind of flip a switch here now.
Tonight, the Rays open a pivotal 6-game homestand versus AL East rival Baltimore. Tonight, the Rays return home. We greet you from Tropicana Field to open this homestand. A 2-team stand, the first club in, the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. So good to have you looking in tonight. Well, the Rays coming off that 2-4 road trip, and offense, lack of it, is the big concern. And BA coming into this homestand, it's something they hope to address immediately.
If they're going to win ball games, they're going to have to. You go back over the last 10 games for this ball club, and they're averaging just over 2.5 runs a game. You look at the average on-base percentage is below 300, so they're not giving themselves many opportunities to begin with. On top of that, with those opportunities, just 167 with runners in scoring position. So it has been a struggle for this offense. And if it's going to turn around, guess what? The Rays third baseman, Evan Longoria, is going to have to play a role in that. And tonight may be the breakout game because against Chris Tillman, he has done some damage. 15 out of 40, 6 home runs. One of those pitchers that he sees the ball very well off of. Chris Tillman likes to work the fastball up in the zone. He doesn't have overpowering velocity. And those are the pitches that Evan Longoria has been able to get the head out and launch for those 6 home runs. So you just hope tonight that you see that aggressive swing again, and if you do, you got a chance to score some runs.
Well, after a frustrating start for Tillman, he's been pitching better lately. And for Chris Archer, tonight he goes after his 10th win. It's the 5th attempt he will make to move into double figures in the win column. Rich Hollenberg will take a month-to-month breakdown of Archer when we return.
as they get set for game 1 of a 3-game series against their AL East rival, the Baltimore Orioles. And it seems as though, as Chris Archer goes, so go the Rays. Think back to June, the Rays were 16-12. Well, in July, they are just 6-12. Same thing could be said for Chris Archer. The Rays ace, the best pitcher in the American League in June, a 4-1 record, a 2.63 ERA as he gets set for his 4th start in July. Still looking for his first win this month, 0-2 with a 5.03 ERA. Archer said he and the team need to get back to what they do well to produce more wins.
We're going to have to win, period, because, I mean, like I said, controlling what you can control, we got to win. And we're gonna win playing our type of baseball, the type of baseball that we were playing in May. You know, we're gonna have to pitch, we're gonna have to play D, and we're gonna have timely hitting.
Well, if past performance is any indication, Archer should be on an upswing. His strikeout per 9-inning rate last season in August, 10.6. That was his best month of the season last year. Maybe the best is yet to come for Archer and the Rays. Just over 3 minutes to go to first pitch. Dwayne and BA with the call coming up next.
Rays come home hoping to get well, and tonight they send the right-hander Chris Archer to the mound after win number 10, making his 21st start of the year, and he'll square off against the Baltimore Orioles. Take a look at this starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Archer will face Jimmy Paredes, the DH, leading off. Then Ryan Flaherty and Manny Machado. Adam Jones, the cleanup man, in front of Chris Davis in right field hitting 5th. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. Travis Snyder bats 7th. Caleb Joseph is behind the plate hitting 8th. And Chris Parmalee at first base bats 9th.
Well, and Chris Archer will be looking to turn around the fortunes of not only himself, the team winless in his last 4 starts, but obviously, too, the Rays as a team, a tough road trip. It's been a tough stretch for them, really, over the last month. And so looking to turn that around here against a division rival tonight. Let's take a look at the defenses. It's going to line up behind Chris, brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, we have DeJesus, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Beckham, Elmore, and Loney, with Rene Rivera behind the plate.
The Rays started the day running third in the American League East, 6.5 back. Baltimore fourth. They are 7 back. Jimmy Paredes leading off. First pitch of this game presented by Pitch-A-Penny, and that's in there for a strike. So we are underway. Paredes hitting .293, a switch hitter. And he's done almost all of his offensive damage from the left side. Down 0-2 right now. .293 overall. .304 against right-handed pitching, and all of his home runs against right-handed pitching. 1-2, and on the third pitch of the game, Archer's right there at 95.
Well, there's a lot of motivation here tonight for Chris, for a lot of different reasons.
And a cut and a miss, 96, and he takes care of Paredes.
Yeah, and that's a man's strikeout. You know, when you climb the ladder against a hitter, first hitter of the game, send a message. Here comes 96 at the letters. Forget about it. Just blow a guy away to start it off and send a message.
So a good start for Chris Archer. And now Ryan Flaherty, the Baltimore second baseman. He's hitting .247. Well, the Rays come off that disappointing road trip with 2-4. The Orioles have lost 3 in a row and 7 of their last 10. They have been struggling
mightily, and not scoring runs. Pitching has been a little off, but the offense is way down for this Baltimore club.
There's Buck Showalter, their manager. Showalter, a winner of 3 Manager of the Year awards. Most recently, last year. Liner the other way into left. One hop, and there in front of DeJesus. The fastball, and Flaherty's aboard.
We often talk about Buck Showalter doesn't miss a trick. When the camera shot went to him, he immediately moved back out of sight of the camera shot. And then as soon as now he's busy talking to Travis Snyder, so we got him. He moved back where you couldn't get a good look at him. As soon as the camera shot went away, I took a peek down there, he moved right back up. So you catch him in conversation, you can get him.
Well, he is the king of minute detail. He is that, and proud of it. Manny Machado. Which is a strike on the outside corner. Tonight's GMC matchup. You can see Machado since June the 1st, and you can tell in his overall numbers, they've all gone into the league leaders in any number of offensive categories. A nice pitch right there, and the count is 0-2.
Yeah, you get that OPS up over 1,000, and you're doing big-time damage. Now has crossed the 20 home run threshold. You see at 21, runs batted in, good on base.
In the top 10 in total hits, top 10 in slugging, top 10 in home runs. Way up, and it's 1-2. One on with one out. Two and two. You know, Archer's out here in a situation where he wants to be the stopper. He wants to be the ace of the staff, and he carries that with him. The challenge is this team's not scoring any runs. To put that away, tough to do sometimes.
Yeah, easier said than done, and that's where you really have to be disciplined in your mindset, which is I can only control pitching, and so that's what I have to do, and trust my guys are going to come through for me. And if you do that, you set yourself up and give yourself a chance. If you don't, you have just made your job even tougher.
And it's so difficult to actually put that out of your mind when you've been living what the Rays have been living through here in recent weeks. Last couple of weeks, very difficult.
It's not as difficult when a guy steps into the box as hot as Machado is, and you've got to make pitches, and you just did right there. How did that? You know, forget the call down at first base. That looked like that could have been a straight up strike.
Instead, the count is full. So John Campaign seeing that pitch off the plate wide to run it to 3-2. Runner goes. The pitch is ball 4. And again, a pitch pretty close. Flaherty was on the move, so a single and a walk. And with one out, the Orioles have 2 men aboard.
You know, these are the situations where we talked earlier a couple of weeks ago about the Baltimore Oriole offense, how one-dimensional it is. They just kind of limit their opportunities. They don't take many walks as a team at all and limit their opportunities with runners in scoring position, but they have one here in the early going.
And here is the poster hitter for not taking walks and being aggressive up there, Adam Jones. He loves to swing the bat with nobody on. You put somebody in scoring position, he can't wait. A dangerous hitter up here. The slider is low. Interesting thing there, though. And Archer has had some frustration against this Baltimore team, but Jones is only 2 for 17 against him. That's a strike. 1-1.
Yeah, you look at the career numbers of Chris Archer against this Oriole team, and it does span. You know, he's not been in the league that long, but long enough to have a little bit of a track record. Is winless against them this year in a couple of starts.
Foul ball off the slider. It's 1-2.
Trying to stay down and away to Adam Jones. Make him beat you to the big part of the field. And it's been a nice start here. Now you got a chance to either get him out in front, maybe get something on the ground, a chance for a double play ball, or you pick up the strikeout.
Fastball, that one clocked at 98. And it's foul.
His velocity here tonight so far speaks to the motivation. It speaks to this team really playing poor baseball in Philadelphia for 3 days and then having a day off to think about it. I'm going to come out here and try to send a message, and that fastball is jumping early.
A nice stop by Rene Rivera on the slider in the dirt. It's 2-2 with runners at first and second. And a cut and a miss. He gets Jones to chase the high slider, strikes him out.
And Adam Jones flinched when that ball came out of the hand. You know, you're thinking of a fastball up in the zone. There's a little bit of a flinch, and then, got a swing. Right there. You can see that kind of just a little bit disjointed there, not expecting the slider up there and then realizing you just came up empty in a big spot.
So there's one big bat retired for the second out, and here's another dangerous bat in Chris Davis. And there's a big cut and a miss, trying to get that big bat started against 97.
Yeah, and with Chris Davis, you know, that he's got a loopy swing. It can get long at times. Mediocre fastballs out over the plate he's going to punish. He's got to get it started early against the high velocity, and that's where Chris Archer can find some holes.
Upstairs, 1-1.
Although during batting practice today, Chris Davis was launching balls into left field, right field. I mean, made it look too easy.
Yeah, he's strong enough. You saw the numbers there, 3 of 8 in his career with a home run against Archer. He's strong enough to miss-hit pitches and hit them out. 1-2 now. Well, a strikeout of Paredes, the base hit by Flaherty, and the walk followed to Machado. A strikeout of Jones, now 1-2 to Chris Davis, who leads the major leagues in strikeouts with 117. And it's low. 2-2.
Breaking ball down, trying to backdoor that pitch. I would fully expect Chris Archer to come back with the heater, middle of the plate, elevated. With the uppercut swing, be tough to get there. You just slowed him down with the off-speed stuff. Take a shot right across the letters.
Two. And that's down. And a good block by Rivera on a hard slider.
Very good block, and you're right, 90-mile-an-hour slider that ended up well short. And it comes out of your hand that low, it's an easy take. You see, that ball was never in the strike zone. And so Chris Davis can just not even think about that pitch, having to swing, offer, and now he's got himself a full count.
And
Runners
here's the
going.
other thing right now, 25 pitches here in the first. This will be number 26. Fouls that one back. Went with the fastball. So he'll have to make at least one more pitch.
Well, nothing is going to be easy in this series. You've got two teams that are reeling, that are trying to hang on to aspirations to play playoff baseball. And both of them have circled this series and said, you know, we got to make a move here. You can't come in. Baltimore just got swept by the Yankees, put them behind the Rays. So both teams desperate for wins.
Three-two again. He struck him out with 3-2 slider. He strikes out the side, leads two. Rays are coming in to hit in the bottom of the first. To come in to hit. He'll be facing the right-hander Chris Tillman. The Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealer. Steven Souza Jr. gets the start and leads off, followed by John Jaso and then Evan Longoria, James Loney, Tim Beckham, and David DeJesus down the middle of the order with Jake Elmore batting 7th in front of Kevin Kiermaier and then Rene Rivera.
Well, how about the turnaround for right-hander Chris Tillman? As you see the season numbers, the first 10 starts of the year, he was 2-7 with an ERA approaching 6. In his last 8 starts, 5-0 with a 3.80.
So the 27-year-old right-hander set to face Steven Souza Jr. That is strike 1. Souza in the leadoff spot. He's hit up in the number 2 spot more than any place else. Kevin Cash has hit him 5th and 6th. And tonight he's in the leadoff spot. A piece of that one on the breaking ball, foul. The ball and 2 strikes. Souza 3 for 9 in his career against Tillman, including that home run up in Baltimore.
Well, and you put him up there at the top of the order, leading off. Hope for aggressive swings and a good start.
Oh, that's a strike call, and the Rays not going to be happy with that one on the corner.
No, not
there
at
were
all.
A couple calls in the top half of this inning. It appeared to be in the same vicinity. Let's take a look.
Buries that heater. Certainly it's close enough, but you're right. When you compare it to some of the calls that Chris Archer did not get, that's where you called into question, or you don't like it.
Now John Jaso. And there's a strike. Jaso starting the night at 359. 1-1.
Move him around. The name of the game. Here's the thing. We show the shift all the time. Really what we ought to be showing is when the defense plays straight up. Because this is the norm. I get it. They all are spread out normal. That's what we should show.
Yeah, take a look at what is normal. And there's the defensive setup. That's the abnormal right there.
Yeah, brought to you by BMW. You've got Snyder, Jones, and Davis, Machado, Hardy, Flaherty, and Parmalee. And Caleb Joseph behind the plate. Not exactly maybe in that order right now, but that's who's out there somewhere.
We should show that with the shift on. I mean, there is, in reality, the shift.
Ooh.
And it's struck on the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, and you talk about setting a hitter up. I mean, it was fastball away, breaking ball away, everything away. You get Jaso leaning out, and you come in and watch the reaction. Uh-oh, didn't expect it on that half of the plate. And it ends up being more middle, but because everything was outer half or off, Jaso caught looking.
Here is Evan Longoria. We mentioned in the open his success against Tillman. 15 hits, 6 of those home runs.
And you would fully expect him, because of the way he sees the ball out of Tillman's hand and the success against him, to turn it loose here. It's time to turn it loose.
Ground ball, and it's hit right to Flaherty on the shortstop side of the second base bag. 3 up, 3 down, go the Rays. No score through 1. Tomorrow, the Rays take on the Orioles again. It's a 6 o'clock game. And then stick around after the game for a post-game concert with country star Casey Musgraves. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop for the Orioles, leads off. Pitch is a strike. One and one. Ball, 2 strikes. Travis Snyder will be next, and then the catcher Caleb Joseph. Already in with a little 6-game hitting streak. He did not offer on the slider. The count is 2-2. Fastball, and that's fouled back. Orioles worked Archer to the 27 pitch mark. He got out in front of 3 of the 5 hitters he faced and wound up with 3 strikeouts in that first inning. And now 2-2. There's another foul ball by Hardy.
You know, 3 strikeouts are going to add up. You know, the pitches are going to add up. There was some extended at-bats. There was a walk, which is going to add to it. And they were, you know, you don't want to say high leverage in the first, but we saw the velocities on the fastball. So there was a lot of effort being put in to those pitches.
2-2 popped up. Archer decides to get out of there, and Longoria is going to make the catch coming in from third. So that's the first out.
And here is the task of the Rays pitching staff to keep the Baltimore Orioles on this run right here. Well, you can see in the heart of June what they were able to do. Win 16 out of 20. Look at the difference right here. Runs a game. How about this number? Runners in scoring position. You know, Dwayne, you and I have talked about this offense. They limit their opportunities because they don't take walks. They don't steal bags. Only the Marlins and the Chicago White Sox have hit fewer doubles, which is instant runner in scoring position. So they've hit well overall, but if runners in scoring position goes down at all, this team cannot score.
Well, and what that tells you, they're not multi-dimensional, so they're a feast or famine type of offense, it would seem, and those numbers reflect that.
And the one thing that we didn't have up in there is the fact that between the streak of 16-4 and 5-14, the home runs per game remained just about the same. So they'll hit their home runs, but if you know they've been so clutch with runners in scoring position, and overall that number is still very, very high. But once it went south, they don't afford themselves enough opportunities, and it's been a struggle. 3 runs less per game.
2-2 on Snyder. One out with nobody on. And that's Caleb Joseph on deck. I'm not sure. I was going to say, you know, conventional wisdom would have it that if you have a team that lives by the home run, they also die for the home run, and you're always concerned about going into the postseason with that kind of offense. Now, I'm not so sure that there's anything such as conventional wisdom any longer with the explosion of information in the game now. But that's the kind of offense that you would be a little concerned with going into short series, postseason.
Especially the way those games are managed, and the scouting reports. You think the scouting reports are detailed now? Wait till you get into October. You know everything. You know what the guys eat for breakfast.
Well, the fastball takes care of Snyder. Strikeout number 4 for Chris Archer.
And Snyder, you could see how late he was, sitting off speed This ball's almost in the glove. That ball was in the glove before the swing. Very rarely do you see that, and when you do, you know, wasn't looking for that pitch.
It's Caleb Joseph. Pitch is a strike.
That would be the swing off Archer if you pulled a guy out of the crowd and you said he's going to throw you a heater, and when you see it swing, that's what you get.
Yep. You think it would be that good? If it just pull him out of the crowd,
well,
he might not be able to swing.
I mean, a guy that swung the bat, 270, 290 range in high school, maybe 300 junior year. Bomb.
Oh, there's a strike, and the count is 1-2.
But that was as tardy as you'll see from a big leaguer.
Yep. Well, that's a tribute to the velocity that Archer carries to the mound with him. Upstairs, 2-2. That goes back to how this game at times can appear to be so easy and so routine. They say the farther you get away from the diamond, the easier it looks, and that's true. But I don't care how close or how far you are. When you see 97, 98 from Archer, and then maybe a slider like that, you know that it's not very easy. 2 more strikeouts in this inning. James Loney is going to open the bottom of the second. We have no score. Loney, Beckham, and then to Jesus against Chris Tillman. Chris Archer, 46 pitches through the first 2 and 5 strikeouts. His velocity has been outstanding. It's outstanding every night, but it seems to be a little more explosive tonight.
I would think, plus 1 or 2, easy.
James Loney shoots it on a low liner, and it's caught by Parmalee down at first. Boy, when you're struggling and you hit a ball like that, it's doubly frustrating. Right now, let's check in with Emily Austin. Emily?
Dwayne, no player ever wants to hear that they're being sent back down to AAA, but Tim Beckham Jr. used it as a learning experience because he was able to get regular at-bats. He told me that he was able to get his timing back down and see more pitches, and most importantly, get that comfort level back in the batter's box. That confidence seems to be rolling over since he was recalled back on July 12th. 6 of his last 9 hits have been for extra bases.
Thank you, Emily. First pitch is a strike. Well, there's no question that getting regular at bats is positive for any hitter.
Well, that's why when you think of part-time players and good pinch hitters, how tough that job is because they're seeing very little live pitching. Tough for a young guy, too.
Yeah, if you're a veteran, number one, you take that experience with you. You've been around long enough. You're a young hitter. You're still trying to settle in as to what kind of hitter you are. And
you're used to playing every day. It's what Brandon Guyer went through last year. You know, comes to the big leagues, going to play part-time after being full-time all the way through. That's not easy. Not easy at all.
You know, veteran guy's been around long enough to know how to prepare for that and slide into that role. And that was a big learning curve for Brandon Guyer. And he's been remarkable this year in that role.
Yep, he really has. Well, he finally accepted the role and then started determining how best, you know, what do I have to do to stay sharp? And he's done a great job.
Tapper to short. Hardy throws out Beckham. Yeah, that takes that takes some intelligence to fill that role and do it well. You've got to know what's expected of you and how to prepare and get ready. And so you're looking at physical ability, but you're also looking at, you know, the mental side of that coming together with the mental gift or the physical gift. Here's David DeJesus. There's a strike. One ball, one strike. DeJesus hitting .265. One ball, two strikes. It's Jake Elmore playing second base tonight. Two balls, two strikes. Tillman at the end of May was 2-7. He's now 7-7. He won 13 games for this team last year. In fact, he took a big step. They were expecting him this year to come right out of the gate and be really the stopper in their rotation. He made 34 starts last year, was 13-6.
He came up midway through 2012. It was July of 12. And coming into the season was 38-16. I mean, that's winning at a high rate where, you know, a lot of times wins and losses, you know, we've seen with Chris Archer. 9-7, really? He's throwing the ball a lot better than 9-7.
Sure.
So tough to come by wins sometimes, but this guy's been a winning machine for the Orioles. And especially lately. You go back over his last, you know, month and a half or so, he's been perfect.
DeJesus stays alive, fouling that fastball pitch in. We'll see another 3-2 pitch. Rays trying to muster some offense somehow. DeJesus extends the at-bat.
Boy, and he had a really, really good swing at that full count fastball. Really good swing. Probably lamenting the fact that he didn't do more with it.
Yeah, that had a little more of the plate than the prior. That one before in on him. That one had the plate. And he takes ball 4. That pitch was close. Now there's the breakout recently from Chris Tillman over the first 10 starts.
Well, and this doesn't hurt, getting 8.8 runs of support, but obviously pitching much better. As you see the earned run average, the opponent's average has certainly turned things around and been on a hot streak.
Yeah, he's averaging winning by 5 runs per game.
Not too shabby.
Gives up 3.80. His team scores 8.80. Oh, there goes the bat on the foul ball. Ball to the right side and the bat beyond the Baltimore dugout.
There we go. The thumb guard came shooting off. Decent distance on the toss. Somewhere Kelly Shopik is smiling.
Two. Well, Tillman tonight has started this game by getting ahead of the Rays hitters. He's thrown 6 first pitch strikes to the first 7 hitters. He's ahead of Elmore here, 0-2. And there's strike 3. Fastball catches Elmore looking. Rays get a walk, leave a man. No score through 2. Go places by Morgan Auto Group, by Crow Financial, and by Kona Brewing Company. One life, right? Don't blow it. Mahalo. Chris Archer, 5 strikeouts through the first 2 innings, 46 pitches. And here's Parmalee. Chris Parmalee taking a pitch inside just to give you close to a breakout on this pitch count. Archer had knocked off this year about a pitch per inning, a little less than that now. But normally he'd be at about 30 or 31 pitches here through 2. He's at 46, and now a couple pitches into the 3rd.
Well, and eventually what that ends up doing is cutting your, you know, if you don't get it back in order pretty quick, it cuts your outing short an inning, maybe an inning and some change.
Yeah, he needs one of those 6 or 7, maybe 8 pitch innings.
How about this? You know, his first start against the Baltimore Orioles, he went 7 innings. Since then, not even close. And in all of his starts against this team, he averages about 5.5 innings per. Well, we're kind of on that pace again.
2-2.
And he's one of the guys that that you're counting on to get deeper into the ball game. I mean, this is one of your horses.
Yeah, and he is among the top 10 in innings pitched. So he's been able to give the Rays some innings most of the time. And frankly, it's a staff that needs that. This club, not only the pitching staff, I think the position players as well. When you look at the games that this team plays night in and night out, almost every pitch is a high leverage pitch. Every play is a high leverage play because they're in such close games all the time. Parmley's out there on the ground ball to the shortstop. And Archer has come out here throwing hard, trying to shut down this Baltimore offense that has been struggling.
Well, and I think that this is part of Chris Archer trying to send that message to inspire his team. He's come out, with that hard fastball. A lot of times Chris Archer has come out and said, listen, it takes me a couple innings to get into the feel of a ball game before I'm able to really maximize my velocity on the fastball. Well, he kind of shot that down here tonight because he was at full bore right from pitch one.
And after all the hard stuff, it's pretty to see that first pitch changeup to Paredes, and he missed that.
Second time through the lineup, he's established the heater and he's established a mean fastball. Why not?
And now the fastball. 2 changeups and then 99 on the gun here at the ballpark.
Abuse. This was abuse. 2 changeups and then this. That's like something that you do to your little brother.
That's why you didn't have a little brother.
Oh, for good reason.
God knew what he was doing there. This pitch is down and in to Ryan Flaherty. 1 ball, no strikes. But you're right. That's the kind of stuff that you sometimes see.
Oh, here, Timmy. Oh, go away. That's why you don't get picked. You get picked last.
1-1 the count.
I'm not really sure why his name was Timmy, so I hope Timmys don't take offense to that.
A lot of Timmys are really bright, tough guys. One and 2 to Ryan Flaherty. Baltimore has the only hit. That was Flaherty's single. Line to base hit into left in the first. Oh, close. Archer looking for that pitch and could not get the call.
Boy, this is going to be just off, if anything. Johnson Payne staring right at that pitch. What a chase.
Oh, right back at Archer, and he caught it. A hot shot liner right back at Chris Archer, and he got that glove in front of his body to catch this liner, and boy, a good thing he did. Oh, to be young and have those reflexes. No score, middle of the third. in protective mode on the line drive on the bat of Flaherty. Good thing he grabbed that one.
How about the fact that he got the glove all the way behind him? I mean, that ball would have, well, taken the 22 right off his bat and snapped that belt.
Maybe that back pocket.
Crushed his wallet.
The breaking ball for ball one to Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier, then Rivera and Souza Jr. 1-1. Kevin's had a difficult time against Tillman. He's only 1 for 12 against him. 1-1 with him right now.
It's time to start evening it out then.
Got some ground to make up. 2-1.
And you certainly get the feeling here in the early going that this game, someone's going to have to make a play. Someone's going to have to do something special. Every little out, every potential base runner, it all matters.
Pitch in on him, pops him up, foul. The ball's going to carry out of play.
And where was our man going? Kiermaier, that ball got right in on his thumbs, and he swung, fouled it off, and then went lurching down towards first base. Get off of me. Yeah, that's right. He's not quite sure where that ball went. Always looking to get out of the box.
Kiermaier leading off the bottom of the third. Ray's got a 2-out walk from DeJesus.
He's becoming must-see TV. In the box, in the field.
That's a fly ball to short center for Adam Jones. So one away in the home half of the third. Let's check in with Rich again. Rich?
Thanks, Dwayne. Some good news taking place at the Trop about 4 hours before game time. It was the first time we've seen Asdrubal Cabrera running the bases since he went on the disabled list with a right hamstring pull back on July 12th. He's scheduled to come off July 27th, which will be this coming Monday. I talked to him after his base running and taking a little BP. He said he feels really good right now and was running at only about 80%. He didn't want to push it, but all things considered, he should be ready to go for the next series against the Tigers. Desmond Jennings also doing some base running, taking some BP, and we should have an update on Drew Smiley coming up tomorrow, guys.
All right, Rich, thank you. I don't know the count to Rivera. Grounds it to first. Parmalee's going to make that play unassisted. You know, when we talk about the Rays and their troubles recently, it really centered on offense, but there's also been a defensive component to some of their issues. And the one thing that Cabrera did at shortstop, he was solid, reliable, and made every play and made some difficult plays look easy. And losing him, it has had an impact.
Well, you've had to move different guys around. You know, it's been Elmore and Beckham, taking over the shortstop, and they've done fine there. But Asdrubal Cabrera, listen, anybody that you put there outside of him is going to be, a slight step down at best because he's been fantastic.
Souza Jr. hits a towering fly ball back into left, and it's caught by Snyder a couple steps from the track. And the Rays are out 1-2-3, no score. These clubs in that situation. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And you can see since the 29th of June, the Orioles 5-14, the Rays 6-14 in company with the Phillies.
Yeah, that not good. Not good for teams that have playoff aspirations and still do.
Manny Machado goes after the first pitch fastball, sends it right back through the middle. It's the second hit given up by Archer.
Well, Manny Machado, we've already talked about how well he's been swinging the bat since early June, and he's going to use the middle of the field here. Chris Archer, that fastball where Machado can get some extension, and he scorches it right back up the middle.
Well, you look at the Rays, you talk about playoff aspirations. I think everybody knew the American League East was going to be up for grabs. And right now, the Rays 6.5 back, Toronto 5.5 back. Blue Jays just a game over, the Rays a game under, and Baltimore 2 games under. The Yankees have taken advantage of all of that. They won 8 of their last 10, including 4 in a row. And the Yankees got to the All-Star break in good shape. And the schedule after the All-Star break heavily in the favor of New York in terms of who they play and the records of those teams they play. There's something like 16 teams with and 16 games of teams over 500. Everybody else, if you looked at where they were at the All-Star break, everybody else they played the rest of the way is under 500 or under. Only 16 games at that point they would play a team that was over 500.
The only plus side is some of those teams that they factored in, the Blue Jays, the Rays, some divisional games. But you're right. And when they list out strength of schedule, for everybody in the big leagues coming out of the break, the Yankees were, top 2, top 3, top 1. They were right up there,
yep.
Depending on, who's listing it. But either way, you look at it, they've got, outside of major injuries, boy, they've got a leg up.
And to their credit, you're supposed to take advantage of those situations, and the Yankees have done that. So right now, they're up by 5.5 on Toronto starting play today.
You wondered who that team was going to be to make that first run, once you get into mid-late July and start to distance themselves. And right now, they're the benchmark.
Jones fouls it back, holding the count at 2-2.
Boy, you look at the reaction of Adam Jones on that swing and the fact that he fouled that pitch off and talking to himself. He knew that he got a hanging breaking ball and didn't do anything with it. Going to get more difficult from here.
Tapper, that will be foul. Reaching for that one, the slider just kept moving away from him, and he got enough of the bat to foul him.
Yeah, and to the Rays' benefit, it was foul. Boy, that stays fair. That real good chance that's an infield hit.
Well, this is the first time tonight that either club has put the leadoff man aboard in any inning. Machado jumped on the first pitch. Hit it into center for a single. Foul back. Scoreless game here at the Trop tonight between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Rays will see the Orioles and the Tigers in on this homestand. Swing and a miss. Jones out on strikes for the second time on the slider. This time down and away. First time was the slider up.
Yeah, this one executed perfectly. Starts at middle of the plate, breaks it middle away and down. And with 2 strikes, a hitter is at the mercy of that pitch and the execution of it. And that was flawless.
7 strikeouts for Archer. 1 out into the 4th. Here's Chris Davis. Ground ball, and that gets past Loney. Beyond the bullpen. Machado's going to try to score. Long throw to the plate, bounces by Rivera. Backed up by Archer. And Davis winds up at second. And it's 1-0 Baltimore.
When the Rays play the shift against Chris Davis and most left-handed hitters, James Loney is barely off the line, and very rarely do you see a ball sneak by him. He's going to come off the bag. This ball not hit that hard. 2 bounces before it gets to the bag, but James Loney just cannot get to it. Right off the edge of the glove, and that's going to set in motion this right here. Tried to airmail the throw. They got a chance, but Machado, he's going to get in there regardless. And the Orioles jump out early here. Well, not early, but jump out first.
Davis winds up at second, driving in the first run of the night. Hardy takes a strike.
You know, James Loney's one of the guys who uncharacteristically had a rough series against the Phillies defensively. Actually, a rough inning.
Yeah, made 2 errors, not only in 1 inning, but during 1 hitter's at bat. And then had another error in that series as well. So he made 3 errors in that Phillies series. He could go all year and not do that.
Yeah, and you know, that's not an error, but it just highlighting the fact that James Loney, we're so used to him making that play and making it with ease that very rarely does someone squeeze one in between the bag and him, especially in a shift. And that one wasn't even hit that hard. And you get spoiled by how good he's been.
So here it is again.
This is again a 2-hopper, and just didn't get to it.
The 0-2. Blocked by Rivera. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's wide. Trying to find the edge on the fastball, and it was outside at 98. 2-2 the count. Another one foul, out of play. Chris Archer over his last 4 starts 0-3 with a .561. Comes in looking for his 10th win. Soft liner going to be over the head of Elmore. Kiermaier with a pickup, and they're going to hold Davis at third. They will not challenge Kiermaier's arm, and it'll be first and third.
And before you even think about challenging that arm, you got to challenge his legs. And Kevin Kiermaier closes on a baseball into the outfield better than anybody in the game. Always full out. So instead of playing this ball back, watch him break right now, realizing that there's a potential for a play at the plate already at full speed. And because he gets to that ball so quickly, you don't even think about sending Davis.
There's Travis Snyder. First and third, 1 out, a run home. Archer up to 77 pitches right now. Upstairs, 1-0.
Well, this is one of the guys who has struggled mightily, has not driven in a run in the month, and we've got a week left in July.
2-0. Two and one. One ball by him at 97. 2-2. He got him to 3-2 in the second and threw that fastball right by him. He just couldn't get it started in time.
And that was as late of a swing as you've seen. And obviously Travis Snyder, Chris Archer's in his head a little bit.
Count is full.
You know, this is where if you're Travis Snyder, you say, okay, here comes the full count fastball. Not so fast with Archer. We've seen him just about as many 3-2 sliders as you see 3-2 heaters. So you've still got to be able to cover both.
Well, he struck out Chris Davis in the first on a 3-2 slider. Now he's 3-2 with Snyder. Davis at third, Hardy's at first. Broken bat, ground ball. Back to second, that's one. First, that's two. Rays get the double play. Snyder breaks his bat, grounds into two to end the inning. And that limits the damage to just the one run.
Good feed. Well, you see Beckham's throw was altered by the aggressive slide in there of J.J. Hardy. They got him.
So the Rays come in to hit, trailing 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Want to watch the Rays? Well, subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and a lot more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. John Jaso leads off against Chris Tillman. Takes a big cut and misses the off-speed pitch. Strike one.
Chris Tillman, you know, he's got the four-seamer, the curveball, the changeup, occasional slider, and that changeup just, that's another one of those Bugs Bunny types. Not a lot of movement to it. It just seemingly never gets to the plate. Tough to stay back.
Into center field, and Jones is there to make the catch. That ball stayed up long enough to give him an opportunity to reach down and make the grab, and then his momentum carried him into that tumble.
Well, John Jaso stays back. That's all arms on the swing. That ball kind of knuckling, tumbling, falling. But Adam Jones, one of the best you're going to find out in center field, gets to it.
Now Evan Longoria. And a big cut right there, that opening fastball. Looking for his 7th career home run off Tillman on that pitch. One and one. Side. Ball stayed in. It's 2-1. Loney on deck. Up the right side. That's a fair ball and headed for the corner. Longoria on his way to second with the double. The Rays pick up their first hit. 20th double of the year for Evan Longoria.
Well, Evan's going to take this fastball middle away and just stay inside it. Shoot it up the right field line. They're not playing him there anyway. You're more concerned about him pulling with power, and he drops it in a few feet fair. And the Rays now have an opportunity to, at minimum, tie this ball game up.
Yeah, and here's James Loney. He has been struggling lately at the plate. You know, he's 4 for his last 34 now, and hit the ball hard on a line in the 2nd inning right at Parmalee down at first. He has mixed in 4 or 5 of those line drives, but hit right at the defender. 1-0 the count to Loney. Fly ball into left, sending Snyder back, but he will be there to make the catch. And now 2 gone, with the runner still at second.
Did you go back? You go back and look at that sequence. First pitch fastball by Tillman was off the plate, almost like I'm going to get James Loney thinking about away with the fastball. Then he comes back with 2 middle in and forces James to try to inside out that ball and ends up with just a lazy fly ball into left field. That was good pitching there by Chris Tillman and his idea. Show me something and then move it to the other half of the plate with success.
Up to Tim Beckham if the Rays are to cash in on this opportunity. Takes the breaking ball. First pitch, first strike. Beckham grounded out to the shortstop, J.J. Hardy, his first time. That pitch, a fastball, didn't miss by much. And it's 1-1. Again, close pitch on a fastball for ball 2. So Beckham up in the count right now. And leaving it 2-2.
As a hitter, you're looking typically for a 2-1 heater, and Tim Beckham got one there out over the heart of the plate. Maybe thought it was down.
It's 2-2.
Wasn't down.
And now that one a little bit up.
Now that was by design. You could see Caleb Joseph's glove starting to leak up in the zone. That's where they wanted that pitch. And that was a good take there by Beckham. Easy to envision a guy swinging through that. We see it all the time.
Beckham takes ball 4. He'll head to first with David DeJesus coming up.
May end up regretting that walk. May end up regretting that walk facing DeJesus here.
Well, he had an extended at bat in the second inning and drew a walk. Anytime you get a veteran hitter like DeJesus up there, I don't care whether he's hitting 220 or 320, you know he's going to give you a good battle. So let's see what happens here. 2 men on with 2 men out. DeJesus hits a ground ball right side. Bobbled by Flaherty. Down to first. They still got him. They recovered just in time after the bobble by Flaherty, and DeJesus is out number 3. Rays put up a threat, do not score, and lead 2. Friday's Flashback Rays Day brought to you by Ram. Submit the best vintage photo of yourself by using the hashtag FlashbackRays. We'll select the best photo and feature it on the post-game show. In the 5th, the catcher Caleb Joseph leads off. He's the number 8 hitter. Pitch is foul, out of play, an opening fastball. 83 pitches for Archer through the first 4 innings. With 7 strikeouts, he's given up 1 run, 4 hits, and a walk. A popper. Tillman will make the catch right in front of Souza, who came all the way in from right. A pretty good downpour outside as we take a look at our camera out there.
Substation 6 is under siege right now, and this is no rogue cloud. And what are those people doing?
Nothing right now.
I'm talking about people that are leaving in the car.
Oh,
and standing out. I mean, really, with the lightning.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself a target.
The first pitch strike to Chris Parmalee. Yeah, it's been coming down for quite a while out there.
Today's been ugly. Ugly.
I guess it's supposed to stick around for longer than they initially thought. We might have a little more of this over the weekend.
Thanks for ruining it for me.
We'll be here. It's cool, dry, comfortable.
Hey, there's your selling point right there. Fill this place up over the weekend. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're not hanging outside, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And home, we get it. You're there all the time.
Got a 6:10 game tomorrow.
And a concert.
Yeah, Casey Musgraves will be here tomorrow night. It's a good night to put together a nice little group.
Everybody's already seen Jurassic World, so we're done with that.
Yep. Get the neighborhood. Come on out to the Trop, have a party. Swing, got a miss. Parmalee's out on strikes. Slider there for strikeout number 8.
Boy, look at how he rips down and around that baseball. High velocity, down and in. You don't have a chance.
You know, what a great shot that is.
It is.
If you're watching, I mean, you get a chance to see a pitcher, in this case Archer, with that slider, and you follow it all the way in. That's just a great shot.
Just don't try that at home unless you're, 16, 17 years old. You 10-year-olds stick to the fastball changeup.
Yep, just move it around a little bit.
That's it.
Concentrate on location.
Building arm strength.
Yep. Then you've got the location. Arm strength comes. Now you're ready to deal. Cut and a miss. 0-2. Well, he's over 90 pitches now, 92. Upstairs, a ball, 2 strikes. Alex Colomé begins to loosen in the bullpen. And a cut and a miss. Paredes out on strikes. 98 mile per hour fastball. We go to the bottom half of the 5th. Rays down 1-0. you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Circle K. It's just 69 cents for your favorite size Polar Pop all summer long. And by Checkers. Mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Jake Elmore tries to get something started in the bottom of the 5th. Takes a pitch with a little break in it there for a strike. 3 strikeouts for Tillman. They've all been looking. Archer has 9 strikeouts. They've all been swinging third strikes, and 6 of those have come on the slider. 1-1. Elmore taking a curveball out of the zone. There goes the bat. Hot hopper right back to the hill. And Tillman throws out Elmore.
Elmore's going to have to go get that grip stick. It's the second time that bat has been ejected on the swing from Jake Elmore, and Chris Tillman continues to hum right along. Oh, that bat broke. There you go. He's left with a sword, a shiv, if you will. For Shank.
Kevin Kiermaier takes the pitch outside. Breaking ball stays out there. One ball, 1 strike. And a bunt by Kiermaier. It'll be tough to throw him out. He's got a base hit. Bunt single by Kiermaier. And he's aboard.
Well, let your legs do the work, man. The Rays need base runners. They need chances. And why not? Boy, if Kevin Kiermaier could start to institute this part of his offensive game, how dangerous. No chance.
Yeah, 0 chance at all right there.
Well, now here's the thing. You think about Kiermaier running. Chris Tillman, very, very difficult to run on.
Rene Rivera to move to first. Kiermaier's back in. Yet 2 years ago, there was only 1 stolen base against him and 8 caught stealings and a pickoff in the mix. Last year, only 1 steal. They got a little smarter. 3 caught stealings. And again over there at first. So Kiermaier back in again. Around the knees for a strike. Rays have Rivera up here now with the top of the order waiting on deck. Upstairs, and Tillman was a little quicker to the plate right there with Kiermaier at first. Left the pitch up a little bit.
You know, and that's what Kiermaier will do to a lot of pitchers. You know, Tillman already talked about the fact that he controls the running game, but still Kiermaier has his attention. And you speed the delivery up, you're right. You will leave pitches up in the zone, no question.
1-2.
That is so frustrating. Rene Rivera right now, so not real happy with himself. He got a fastball there out over the plate. You could see the swing and a foul ball, and he was immediately like, you got to be kidding me. That's what you wait for, are those pitches. Now you got to battle. 2 strikes.
cut and a miss on the fastball. Strikeout number 4 for Tillman, the first swinging third strike.
A little bit more elevation to this one and a little bit better velocity. 92. This is going to be above the belt, right about the letters. Can't catch up.
Well, Steven Souza Jr. hit a towering fly ball that sent Snyder to the warning track in the third. He didn't hit it all that well, but sometimes a guy this strong doesn't have to hit it all that well.
No, he's got that kind of power where when he gets full extension, he's able to launch pitches. Right now, the timing just a little bit off. But that could come right back. That could come right back in for Souza Jr. on any swing.
One and one. Move to first. Kiermaier back in. A butt hit for Kiermaier, his third of the year. He and Asdrubal Cabrera lead the team with 3 bunt singles. One and two.
Now that's the second time that we've seen Souza Jr. go after the curveball with the same results. That knuckle curve. Boy, does he spin that nicely. A lot of depth to that pitch. He tried waiting back on it. Difficult to do with the change of speeds.
It's upstairs. Baltimore got a run in the 4th inning on a double by Chris Davis, scoring Manny Machado. Rays have Kiermaier at first in the 5th with 2 outs. They left Longoria at second in the 4th. And he tries the breaking ball, taken low this time. And it's 3-2.
Well, you get Kiermaier in motion, which is big, really big. He can cover so much ground. He'll get a great jump and be off and running.
Well, Tillman's pitch count has been great. Just at 70 now. This is only the 3rd full count he's had tonight.
Kiermaier's the type of guy that if you get him moving, a soft single, and you may have a chance to score.
There he goes, and the fastball is fouled back. Pretty good cut by Souza Jr. on the fastball there, but he fouled it.
That may have been the best, most on-time swing that we've seen all game long from Souza Jr. That ball just a little bit close to him.
Two is fouled off again. We'll do it a 3rd time.
You know, Kevin Kiermaier just did something pretty interesting. You know, he took his lead like normal, and then realizing it's a full count and he's running anyway, he took a step or 2 back. And all that he's doing is creating a better angle for rounding second base. Instead of being on a straight line, you know, he's given himself a step or 2 to start to create that angle to round second. Very smart.
Broken bat. Machado with a pickup, and the throw is in time. And the Rays do not score in the 5th, leaving a man at first. Through 5, 1-0 Baltimore. Rays tonight. 9 strikeouts. He's made 94 pitches through 5. All the strikeouts, swinging third strikes. The 1 run came when Chris Davis doubled up the right side on a ball that just got by Loney, scoring Manny Machado, who had opened the 4th with a single. Meanwhile, Chris Tillman has shut down the Rays on just 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. The Rays have had 1 man as far as second base. That was Longoria when he doubled with 1 out of the 4th. So on to the 6th we go. Ryan Flaherty lifts the fly ball into center, and Kevin Kiermaier will take care of that. That's now 95 pitches on the night for Chris Archer. He started this game by making 27 pitches in the first, and the Rays have the bullpen up again. Colomé up for the 2nd time. Xavier Cedeno joining him.
Well, you know, he still only has 95 pitches. I mean, he's your horse. You got to ride with him here in this game.
Well, 113 is high in any one outing. That was against Seattle. Here's Manny Machado. Pitch is a strike. You know, you could get greedy and say, you know, if he could have a short, low pitch count inning here. About the 7th. Well, there's a looper into center. That's going to drop for a base hit. First things first. Machado's on for the 3rd time. A walk and now 2 singles.
Well, at the minimum, you want Chris Archer to be able to get you through 6. And he's going to put himself in position here to do that. 97 pitches. He needs 2 outs. He could get that on 1 pitch.
Adam Jones, who's 0 for 2. Twice he has victimized Jones on the slider. In the first inning on a slider up, and the last time in the 4th on a very healthy slider with great breakdown. Fastball away. Slider gets the swing and a miss. 1-1. Twins have a 3-0 lead in Minnesota on the Yankees in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Popper right side, Elmore angling out toward the line from second. And he's got it. 2 gone. So 2 outs with Machado still at first. Chris Davis will be the hitter. 100 pitches now for Archer.
Well, a couple of more. Get out of this inning. You're still down just a run. It won't be easy.
Well, Davis is the difference in this game right now when he got the ball by Loney up the right side in the 4th inning, chasing home Machado. 96 with a fastball away. 1-0. Two balls, no strikes. Got a piece of Rivera on the foul ball. Machado at first, 2 outs.
Set up that wrist and forearm. You can see he's got that little padding right there as he wraps it around.
You just can't have enough padding
No
for
doubt.
that job.
No doubt.
Three and one. That one ended 97. Three and two.
That was 3-2 slider earlier in the game to get Davis. Will he do it again, or will he come straight power on power?
He went fastball 3-1 to get to 3-2. And a foul. He came with the fastball, and that's one of those situations where the guy is so strong he can hit that ball a long way to the opposite field. That one slicing foul, but he had home run distance on that.
And that's a pitch that he's late on. You know, he's tardy on that fastball. Very rarely do you find a guy getting beat by a fastball, hitting it the other way because he's late, and get that kind of carry.
For the second time, and it's a bad 3-2 pitch. Way high with the fastball, and he gives up the walk. That pushes Machado up to second. Jim Hickey's going to pop out of the dugout and head to the mound. J.J. Hardy's going to be the next hitter, and the Orioles have 2 men on with 2 men out. Well, it's Christmas in July, and Santa's making his way to Tropicana Field. Sunday, all kids 14 and under receive a surprise Christmas present while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Christmas indeed coming early this year.
Number 2, J.J. Hardy.
Well, after the meeting on the mound, a deep breath by Chris Archer. He has 107 pitches under his belt. And J.J. Hardy, who's 1 for 2 tonight, will be the hitter. Pitch is a strike. And Hardy's the kind of hitter up there. The base hit he got in the 4th was a 2-2 slider off the plate. He just got the bat out there and flared it into center field. Takes a healthy cut and a fastball, and now it's 0-2.
A pretty good situational guy, understanding what he's trying to do here, especially now. This fastball misses its location, but J.J. Hardy does not know that. That ties him up and in. So Chris Archer, boy, you can do anything here. 0-2, a lot of options.
Ground ball short. Beckham with the throw to first in time. So he gets Hardy. Orioles lead 2. They lead by 1. presented by Geico. We go back to July 24th, 2013, with lefty David Price on the hill, tossing a complete game at Fenway. 97 pitches, 72 strikes, and the Rays defeated the Red Sox 5-1 in Boston that night. Tigers due in here following the Baltimore series, and Price due to pitch on Tuesday here. John Jaso misses the first offering from Chris Tillman. And with the Tigers starting the day a game under 500 and 10.5 out in the AL Central, talks about the possibility of David Price maybe being involved in a deal. High chopper. Machado on the left side alone has time and throws out Jaso. So that'd be interesting. You know, Price supposed to pitch here Tuesday. There the Tigers now running third. They'd hope for greater things in the Central.
Well, and with David Price due to become a free agent, you know, they're saying the same thing about Yoenis Cespedes as far as hitter goes. So it'll be interesting. Always a lot of talk, very little action at the end of the day. Big action. We'll see.
Evan Longoria, it's a high popper into shallow right. Davis is there. So a couple of quick outs here in the 6th inning. Yeah, that's the way it always seems to go around those trading deadlines. A lot of talk, no action.
Columns need to be written. Stuff needs to be said. I love it when the dust settles at the end and teams will say, yeah, we never inquired about him. And they'll have been linked to a certain player for weeks.
Yep. You
know, apparently the Red Sox are still looking to trade for all sorts of pitchers.
And I always believe them when they say that.
If you read it, you can believe it. I've always lived by that.
Here's James Loney. Takes a pitch a little wide. Breaking ball stayed out there. 1-0. Loney's line to first and a fly ball to left. Pops it down the left field side. That ball is out of the reach of Machado, but he gave it a great effort and a slide down into the bullpen.
Much appreciated by everybody down there. You're right. He had to cover a lot of ground and watch him go. Only guy over on the left side. Pretty good distance on that slide, too.
It's a ball to 2 strikes. Ground ball, and it'll be handled by Parmalee unassisted. The Rays are up and down 1, 2, 3 in the 6th inning. Well, the Orioles come again, couple games under 500. Lead the Rays 1-0 through 6. by H.H. Gregg. Some outstanding pitching here at Tropicana Field tonight.
Well, Chris Archer, one ball that got up the right field line. Outside of that, there were times where he had to battle. He had some base runners, some extended at-bats, but more often than not, he came through and ends up with a solid 6-inning line. 9 strikeouts.
6 of those coming on the slider. Meanwhile, Chris Tillman has continued to work ahead in the count most of the time tonight. And as we go to the 7th, Xavier Cedeno on to pitch, and Nolan Reimold is going to hit in the place of Travis Snyder. Pitch is low. Snyder lifted with the lefty on. Reimold with some occasional pop in that bat. He's had to battle injuries throughout his career. 1-1. Raids with a shift on for him. Colomé continues to keep warm in the bullpen. 1-2. Six innings for Archer, a run, 5 hits, couple of walks, 9 strikeouts, 110 pitches. Cedeno pitched 2/3 of an inning on Wednesday in Philadelphia and is full up with Reimold.
Bottom of the Orioles order here. You do not want, obviously, a free pass. That's why it's so important, when you're a guy that's coming out of the bullpen late in the ball game, close score here, 1-0. You've got to make the opposition, no matter what side you're on, earn everything they get. So Cedeno needs to make a pitch here. There you go.
And he got it. An opening strikeout here in the 7th inning. 10th strikeout for Rays pitching.
Well, breaking ball starts it above the knees and just takes it below the zone. Presented very well by Cedeno, and Reimold could not hold up.
Here's Caleb Joseph, the catcher. He was 0 for 2 against Archer. Yankees coming into head in the top of the 4th inning in Minneapolis, and they continue to trail the Twins 3-0. Tigers and the Red Sox in the middle of the 6th inning at Fenway tied 1-1. Down to 3rd, and it skips by Longoria, trying to play it off to his left. The Hazers quickly over to get the ball back into 2nd. And Joseph is aboard.
Another defensive miscue that you very rarely see, especially from Evan Longoria. This is just a chopper. He's going to try to play it back, and you see that ball kind of hit that turf with a lot of overspin, or hit the dirt and kind of kicked a little bit to the right. And so he had it measured up, and that ball ends up kicking right off the end of his glove, and you could see it from that first angle. That's the way it's been going for the Rays.
Well, when the corners on the infield start to have issues, you know that it's a serious situation because these guys, Longoria and Loney, are as solid as you can get.
You could see that ball was topped, and it, 1 and 2, and it hits that dirt, and there's not a whole lot of time. I mean, Evans got his glove right where that ball's going to go, and when it kicks to the right, even if it's just an inch or two, it takes it right out of the pocket of that glove and into left field.
Now Chris Parmalee, the left-handed hitting first baseman. 1 on, 1 out. The pitch is a strike. Foul up the right side. 2 down all the way into the bullpen. Cedeno working here in the 7th. Count still 2 strikes to Parmalee. Jimmy Paredes is on deck, and as we mentioned at the outset, he's been much better left-handed than from the right side. There's a popper. Shallow center. Elmore is making the call, and he's got it in between Kiermaier and Beckham for the out. 2 gone. We'll swing back around to the top of the order and remind you Friday, Flashback Rays Day, brought the hashtag Flashback Rays. We'll select the best photo and feature it in the postgame show.
Substation 6 is showing 16th Street Substation is showing a better chin than in years past, because he just got smoked and wobbled, but lights have stayed on. Well, maybe not.
Well, the umpires are going to gather to take a look and see.
One bank over here.
Remember this happened with the Joe West crew, and West said, we can still see, let's keep playing.
It takes
Makes
a leader.
sense to me.
Takes a leader.
Yeah, so they're going to get together, and Paul Immel, the crew chief, Kevin Cash going to come out now. Showalter as well. Bill Welke talking with Showalter, and the plate umpire John Tompane chatting there with Kevin Cash briefly.
Well, it wasn't a straight knockout for 16th Street Substation, but definitely a standing 8 count.
So he's Substation back on his feet. Look at his eyes pretty good. We're going to continue. So stepping in is Jimmy Paredes, the DH. The pitch is too low. 1 ball, no strikes. One and one. Cedeno trying to pitch around the error with Joseph at first base. foul ball on the big cut by Paredes. We mentioned he was hitting .293 coming in with 10 home runs and hitting .304 with all 10 home runs against right-handed pitching.
Been one of the pleasant surprises for the Orioles this year.
It's low, blocked by Rivera. 2-2. And a cut and a foul ball. Movement at the feet of Rivera. Just enough of it for Paredes to keep this at bat going.
Oh, he hit it right off his own foot. Yeah, down and off that back toe. That is not easy to do.
Pretty close. Just missed. Trying to start that one a little wide and find the zone.
Well, it's been cutter slider against these right-handed hitters.
Count full. Joseph will take off. Swing and a miss. A big cut on the breaking ball. We go to the bottom of the 7th, 1-0 Baltimore. In this game tonight and all season long, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Tim Beckham's going to open the bottom of the 7th. Beckham, DeJesus, and Elmore due up. Rimo's in the game in left field after pinch hitting. And here's Beckham. He's grounded out to short and is walked. Oh, and he's hit by that pitch. He took a pretty good shot up on that left shoulder.
Well, you're trying to go down and away, and Tim Beckham late reacting because he's looking for something that's out over the plate, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is right on me.
Now, for the first time tonight, the Rays put the leadoff man on in any one inning. Tillman, through the first 6, had thrown 14 first pitch strikes to the first 22 hitters. He started the game that way and just continued to get ahead. Now he has hit Beckham.
Now, and make a move now before Baltimore starts thinking about turning it over to their bullpen. Tillman's pitch count in order, but Rays are getting a third look at it.
David DeJesus takes a pitch away. 1 ball, no strikes. Tillman had a very brief 6th inning, just 7 pitches. That was the kind of inning Archer was looking for tonight. And a nice take by DeJesus. Count is 2-0. 83 pitches to this point in the game for Tillman. His season's high is 110. Hit that mark twice. Popped up. Hardy makes the catch on it.
Well, Chris Tillman is picking up. We talked about how well he's been throwing the ball, but you go back to his last start. It was his longest and best start of the season. 8 shutout innings against the Tigers on 1 hit, and here he is again, a 0 on the board.
Jake Elmore. Chopped to third. Machado flared. He won. First base 2. 5-4-3, and it's a quick inning after all for Tillman through 7. 1-0 Baltimore. Alex Colomé on the hill for the Rays, following Chris Archer and Xavier Cedeno. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Swords. Well, Tillman and Archer, 2 good ones. Tillman has been everything that the Orioles have seen out of him recently with this excellent stretch he's been on. Chris Archer very good tonight. A little high on the pitch count early. He pitches 6, Tillman 7 so far. And as we go to the 8th, here's Colomé to face Ryan Flaherty. Pitch is a strike. So 1 inning for Cedeno, 1 strikeout, 6 innings for Archer, and here's Colomé. That's a strike, 0-2. Don't want to shortchange Cedeno. He had 2 strikeouts. He did get Paredes to end the 7th inning, the 4th time Paredes has struck out tonight. Oh-2 the count on Flaherty. Twins have opened a 5-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th at home against the Yankees. It's 2-2. Two. Flaherty's out on strikes. 1 away here. Strikeout number 12 for Rays pitching. The Rays are pleased to announce a very special program for our military. Now through the end of the season, active duty and retired or honorably discharged veterans can get a Rays Honor Pass, entitling them to 2 free tickets to any Rays regular season home game. So visit RaysBaseball.com/Honor Pass for more information. Machado takes the pitch up.
This is a huge inning, obviously, for Alex Colomé. Rays down a run, coming through the heart of the Oriole lineup in a role that has not been in for most of the season. Late in the ball game. Close.
Well, he got that fastball up there, high fastball at 95. Machado trying to get on top of that, fouled it back. Oh, and now Machado is hit by that pitch.
I think there's a warning being thrown out right there.
John Tillman quickly giving the warning, and as Colomé walked down off the mound, Bill Welke comes in to send him back to the hill.
Well, you see where Rene Rivera set up, and Alex Colomé, no bones about this. I mean, that is up.
So Machado got it on the shoulder.
And what he's telling him is, hey, you want to hit me, not up near the head. And Colomé is saying I wasn't. Well, this series just got interesting.
In a hurry.
Yep.
So Machado's over at first, and Adam Jones is the hitter. And Machado back in at first. Chop left side. Longoria goes to second out there. Machado aggressive on the slide in at second. He's still feeling a little frisky after being hit by that pitch.
Boy, oh boy. You know, as a second baseman, in this case, Jake Elmore coming across that bag after what happened, you know he's coming in for you. And so you get the lead runner, and watch this. I mean, he's coming in late right at you. He does stay low, but get out of there. Yeah, that's aggressive.
It was almost a tackle takedown. So Jones is at first on the fielder's choice. And here is Chris Davis. Pitch is down. 1-0. Warnings issued after Machado was hit by a pitch. He's forced at second for the second out. Want to know the count on Chris Davis. High popper left side. Long run for Longoria. Can't get there. Ball down into the bullpen. Just short of the low wall. And we can see how far Longoria had to run for that one.
A lot of ground to cover.
The Baltimore bullpen has never been so close. 1-1 the count on Davis now. Two and one away. Well, Davis, the difference in the game with the fourth inning double that scored Machado. He also reached in the sixth inning when he walked. It'll take the count to 2-2. Strike three call. Davis out on strikes. 2 strikeouts in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Here's the strikeout pitch. 1-0 Baltimore.
Played 31 one-run games already, hoping that they're on the winning side of this one coming up after the game, win or lose. Join Orestes Destrada and myself from our left field perch here inside the Trop. We'll have Rays Live, the post game, brought to you by Checkers. Emily Austin will be in the clubhouse gathering interviews, including Kevin Cash and assorted players. I'm sure you'll hear from Chris Archer, the starter, as well. Guys?
All right, thank you very much. As Kevin Kiermaier looks at a breaking ball that stays outside. 1-0. Kiermaier bunted his way on in the 5th inning. One of just 2 Rays hits tonight. 2-0. Butler on deck, Joey Butler. Kiermaier takes that pitch wide for ball 3, 3-0.
Base runners, you need one. You could get Kiermaier on here with speed. Penn up and at him, Darren O'Day.
The strike. Chris Tillman does not have a complete game this year, although his last time out he went 8, as you mentioned, in that one against Detroit. That was after giving up a base hit. That ball is just foul to call. Wow, that is pretty close right there. Bill Welke on top of it, and Charlie Montoya wants to talk with him about that.
Are you sure?
Wow, that was close.
Boy, just sticking the bat out. Kiermaier.
Telling you,
not by much.
Kiermaier was on his way to first. Two on a high chopper. That's a foul ball.
Boy, oh boy. You know, Kevin Kiermaier was not running there, and Parmalee, that ball, he kind of waited back on it. He goes in and attacks that. He's got an easy out here. See, Kevin's not running. And he times it up, waits for it, and then he kicks foul. Wow.
Foul.
Wow. What a break.
Three-two pitch again. And he walks him. Kiermaier taking it low for the 2nd straight inning. The Rays have a base runner aboard to lead off the frame.
Well, and that was your break right there. What should have been a 3 unassisted turns into a leadoff base runner. And now here comes the bullpen as Showalter making his way to the mound.
7 innings plus, 1 hitter in the 8th for Tillman. He gives way to the bullpen. Tavern, who is proud to introduce Patrick's Catering by Kubota. For more information, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com and by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Darren O'Day comes on. 7 innings plus 1 hitter for Tillman. Rivera going to be lifted. Joey Butler in the batter's box right now, with Kiermaier aboard at first. And O'Day moved to first on Kiermaier. Just nips the corner.
And Joey Butler is saying to himself, if that's a strike, I mean, that was a low gliding slider. And it just breaks all the way across the plate right at the kneecaps. Well, he's already seen the best pitch that Darren O'Day could throw.
1-1. Big cut and a miss. Boy, you think you know where that ball is, and by the time you swing, it's not there.
Well, and you're picking up, you know, a very different release point. You've seen 2 sliders, and then it's 88 from down there, and not able to reach it in time. And now you got to cover both.
Into right center field. Going to be caught out there by Adam Jones. And back to first goes Kiermaier. Nice running catch by Jones. He's a great center fielder and made the grab.
Well, able to cover a ton of ground as Butler looked to go the other way. Now the night's over here for Chris Tillman, but what a job that he did, building off of his strong, really last month and a half in his last outing where he went 8 shutout, gave up just 1 hit, and picked up right where he left off. Gets this big ground ball double play to get out of the 7. Did have a leadoff walk here in the 8th. The Rays are trying to capitalize on that, but that line right there outstanding by Mr. Tillman.
Steven Souza Jr. Kiermaier's caught. Pitch, a breaking ball. Here's a strike, and the throw is not in time. Faded by plenty. And a stolen base for Kiermaier, his 11th. Now in scoring position.
Now Caleb Joseph didn't have much of a chance. Kiermaier with a pretty good jump after a pretty good lead, and he's going to get in easily. I'll tell you what, that was a heck of a play out there by J.J. Hardy to keep that ball from, or Flaherty, I'm sorry, from that ball getting into center field, because Kiermaier, you can already see on the slide, is starting to pop up. That ball gets out into center field, and he more than likely is off to the races to third base.
Yeah, the base runner diving in one direction, and Flaherty, the second baseman, diving in the opposite direction. Souza takes it outside. So the Rays with Kiermaier now at second base. They had Longoria at second in the 4th when he doubled with 1 out. And now for only the 2nd time tonight, a base runner as far as second. Kiermaier here in the 8th at second base with 1 out. 2-1. McGee the lefty, Jepson the righty. Rays bullpen busy. And a strike takes the count to 2-2.
Boy, his ability, Darren O'Day's ability to keep that breaking ball low like that, low and sweeping. I mean, it comes out of the hand low and just stays that way, just kind of glides across the zone. So difficult for a hitter. That's why his numbers this year are just off the charts.
Coming in an earned run average of 1.04. Came on, inherited the base runner. You got Butler on the fly ball. Now he's 2-2 with Souza Jr. Now it's 3-2. Strike three call. Souza didn't like that call. He didn't like the one back in the first inning. And now he doesn't like this one.
Well, and when you start pointing back, that's when you're taking your night into your own hands. This ball's going to start off the plate in. And he's going to try to break it to that inside corner. And that is awfully close. Foxtrax has it just off. That's kind of that's a tough pitch, too, to pull the trigger on, because you get locked up where it starts off, and Souza Jr. not happy at all.
There's John Jaso. Jaso 0 for 3 tonight. Strike one to him.
Jaso a little bit of an advantage here, being a left-handed hitter, gets a better look at that release point, a clear line of vision.
And he checks 1-1. Jaso 1 of 4 in his career against O'Day. Two balls and a strike. Fastball at 88 in off the plate. Was in. Appeared to be on the plate.
Sure did. Take that. 2-1, 1-2. That's a huge swing in these matchups.
Line drive, base hit into center. Kiermaier rounding third. Jones will make the throw. It's cut off, and the Rays have tied this game. John Jaso comes through. It's a 1-1 ball game.
Well, 2-1, 1-2. A huge swing. If you get to 1 and 2, you can expand the zone. 2 and 1, you're more apt to come in with a strike. And O'Day allows John Jaso to get extension on a fastball. And he just goes right back up the middle. And Kiermaier running with 2 outs. This ball's going to be a little bit offline. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. Tie ball game.
So the Rays tie it at 1. Jaso's at first, and Evan Longoria is the hitter.
Leadoff walks.
Rays have turned that into a run. Evan takes the ball up. Longoria 3 of 14 in his career against O'Day. That ball just kept moving away from him. Watch this thing.
Don't have a long enough bat.
One and two. It's a foul ball back on a fastball. Still 1 and 2. Rays have tied it here in the bottom of the 8th. Run charge to Tillman. So he will not figure in the decision. 2 and 2. See Loney on deck. Longoria working the count even. He fouls this one back. You like that location.
Yeah, and that's why you'll see the breaking ball here. I mean, that was a fastball that was up and out over Evans' best swing of the at-bat.
Two again. A little popper into shallow center. That ball is gonna be
base hit.
Just out of the reach. Wow. Flaherty got out there. And that ball almost caught, but just out of his reach. He made quite an attempt to get out there. Watch this.
It bounces right up to him. Bounce right into the glove. That ball falls in, and the Rays get an opportunity here with Loney.
Well, that enabled Jaso to go to third. So Longoria with a blooping base hit just out of Flaherty's reach. Jaso to third. James Loney will be the hitter. Brock starts to loosen. Just started to loosen down there, trying to get warm in a hurry.
Well, this is a great matchup for Loney. The style of hitter. We saw John Jaso, similar as far as working at bats. Get a good view of the release point and up the middle the other way.
Loney has 4 at-bats against him, 1 hit. That hit a home run. So here we go. Inside to Loney. Upstairs. Now 2 balls, no strikes. Inning started with the walk. The Rays have turned that into a run. Now Jaso's at third and Longoria's at first with 2 outs in a 1-1 ball game. Three and 0.
You would think James Loney will see nothing here.
Yeah, they're going to walk him intentionally now.
Yeah, there you go.
So that will load the bases. The bases are loaded with 2 outs. Tim Beckham, who has walked and been hit by a pitch, otherwise a ground ball to short. So it's Beckham against O'Day. He gets his first look at this extreme right-hander. Beckham 4 of 25 with men in scoring position. And the pitch is a strike. A little slider that caught the edge. Pitch up, and he fouled it right back into the mitt of Caleb Joseph. A 2-strike count to Beckham. Center. Jaso scores. Longoria heads to the plate. He scores. Out at third on the throw to third to get Loney. But the Rays come up with 2 more runs on the base hit to center on an 0-2 pitch. Tim Beckham drives in 2. And the Rays will take a 3-1 lead here. There it is.
Wait, he shortened his swing. He did not try to do too much. Played pepper with the middle of the field. And that right there is giving the Rays that 2-run lead and trying to close it out next.
Both runs scored. 3-1 Rays. Putting up 3 in the bottom of the 8th. And here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. Pre-game shows presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Rasmo Ramirez will be on the hill. We'll hear from him, and the rest is we'll break down the Orioles' outstanding center fielder Adam Jones. Meanwhile, Jake McGee comes on. Kurt Casale in there behind the plate. J.J. Hardy at the plate takes the first pitch from McGee for a strike.
Well, Jake's numbers just across the board outstanding. And here in this instance has a 2-run lead to work with.
Cut and a miss. 0-2. He's got Hardy, then Rimo due to follow, and then Joseph. Foul back. It's out of play down the right side. Hardy 1 out of 6 in his career against McGee.
You see how J.J. Hardy, his hands are so low in his setup, and Jake McGee trying to pop that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball up above him.
It's a ball, 2 strikes. (20 consecutive scoreless appearances for McGee. Spread over 19 in the 3rd innings. Another foul ball, and the count is still 1-2. You see McGee chasing Fernando Rodney and J.P. Howell when it comes to consecutive scoreless appearances in Rays history. And a base hit up the middle on a fastball. Hardy is aboard.
Well, much like Tim Beckham, you know, you shorten that swing and go right back up the middle. How about these 2 at-bats? John Jason getting the ball out over. You get extended, drives in Kevin Kiermaier, and then in an 0-2 count, up and away, and Beckham, you see that, just a half swing, just trying to put the ball in play, give himself a chance, finds a hole. Yelling at somebody.
Here's Reimold. And a first pitch strike in there. McGee pitched an inning Wednesday in Philadelphia. It's 1-1. So with a base hit by Hardy, the Orioles now have out hit the Rays by 1, 6-5, but the Rays with those 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th have a 3-1 lead. And there's strike 2. 1-2. Foul back, holding the count. And a ball and 2 strikes. Caleb Joseph is on deck. Chopper. Beckham will charge, have to go to first. Out there. Up to second goes Hardy.
Now, the important thing there with the 2-run lead is an out. Whether you get it at second or you take it at first, outs, outs, outs. And Tim Beckham, nice job of closing ground on that play and being able to make it.
So Hardy's at second. Here's Beckham on that play.
And that chopper over the mound, sometimes those can get tricky. Well played.
There's Caleb Joseph, the catcher. Fouls it into the screen for a strike. One ball, one strike. That one a little wide. Jonathan Scope has emerged on deck. Chris Parmalee is scheduled, but Scope in the on deck circle. This one hit to Elmore. 2 gone. Elmore positioned on the shortstop side of second base. Hardy remains at second with 2 gone.
Boy, hitting right into the teeth of that thing. Jake Elmore positioned perfectly to make that play, and the Rays need now just one more.
Well, Jonathan Scope, who has never logged an at bat against McGee, is called upon to pinch hit for Parmalee. Scope takes a strike. 95 from McGee on that one. One ball, one strike. Rays trying to get back to 500. Now 2-1. Matt Wieters has come out on deck. That'll take the count to 3-1. So after that first pitch strike, 3 pitches out of the zone.
Well, and you say, you know what, hitter 3-1, going to be looking heater now, but again against Jake McGee, that's all you're looking for. So really no difference in this count than any other.
3-1, it's by him. 3-2 on the 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, now just get it close. Get it close, your best velocity. Going to be swinging.
Three-two from McGee. He got it. Struck him out, and the Rays win it. McGee finishes it off with a 96-mile-per-hour fastball, throwing it by Jonathan Scope. And the Rays take the first game of this series from the Baltimore Orioles, 3-1. Tim Beckham's base hit drove in 2 in the 8th after John Jaso's single had tied the game. Rays had only 2 scoring opportunities tonight. Longoria was at second with 1 out in the 4th. They did not score. And then Kiermaier opened the 8th with a walk. And that led to the 3-run inning. And McGee, with another scoreless outing, closes this one out. 3-5-1 for the Rays. 5 left. 1-6-0 for Baltimore. And the Orioles strand 8. Colomé will pick up the win. He's 4-4. O'Day, the losing pitcher, he's now 5-1 and save number 5 for Jake McGee. Rich Hollenberg standing by on the field right now with Tim Beckham. Rich?
Thank you, Dwayne. A lot of high fives already for Tim Beckham. Another rookie contribution. What did you see up there in the 8th inning that allowed you to get that hit?
Well, I took a look down and saw how he saw his approach to our other right-handed batters. I saw he was going first saw he was going first pitch.
Bex, I'm noticing a trend. The Splash Brothers are now warning everybody that it's going to happen, so it's no surprise anymore.
No surprise, man. It's all fun and games. We just want to win every game we come out and take the field.
Take us back through that at bat going up. It's obviously a tough pitcher coming from a different angle.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I saw what he was doing the first pitch. I knew he was going to slider away. I didn't want him to get me to roll over on the slider away, so I wanted to wait till a fastball. Saw a fastball I can do something with, and swung through the first one, and he beat me. And I thought to myself what adjustments I needed to make throughout the bat, and he gave me another fastball, and I put a good swing on it.
It's been well documented, this team collectively, the struggles with runners in scoring position. How quickly does all that frustration go by the boards when you get a win like this tonight?
Every win is beneficial for us, man. Like I said earlier, every time we take the field, we want to win. We've been tough. It's been tough lately for us the past week and a half, and feels good to get a win, man. Any way we can get it. Kiermaier with the big stolen base, and like I said, they just fired us up, and we got the win.
Another comeback win, the 19th of that variety. What does that say about your club?
We never give up, man. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on another team. And like I said, early in the season, we've down 9-2. We've came back, and 7-1. We've came back. So this team never quits fighting, man. And appreciate the fans for their support, man, getting loud for us and having our back.
Chris Archer pitched a dynamic game, but the hero with the game-winning RBI is this young man. Tim Beckham played a good shortstop and got the game-winning hit. Tim, thanks a lot for joining us. Dwayne, BA, they now even their record at 500, but they are now 1 game over 500 against the AL East. Guys?
All right, thank you very much. And tomorrow, Chevron pitching matchup. Miguel Gonzalez goes to the hill for Baltimore. The Rays will counter with Erasmo Ramirez, is looking for his 9th win of the year, coming in with a mark of 8-3. We'll be with you at 5:30 with our coverage right here on Sun Sports. Rays win it 3-1, 49-49 on the year. As Colomé gets the win, 6 strong innings for Archer and a save for Jake McGee. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast. Rays are winners tonight. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, comes your way next.